Speaking of deranged, Alan Dershowitz is desperate to get into the mix here. Summer's coming up. He wants to get invited to some parties down at the beach. And he's going to walk around nude in Martha's Vineyard. And so he's hoping that maybe this is going to be the thing that will get him right here. Here he is. Is this part of his show? No, he's on Eric Bolling's show.
The Balance.
The Balance. Oh, okay. So this is Balance. And it's on Newsmax. And this is the most awesome. He's starting a new project, I should say, to protect people from anti-Semitism.
Oh, that's good.
Now, I want to say protect Jews from anti-Semitism, but I know a lot of you out there go, well, Semites, Palestinians and this and that, so maybe it's not just Jews that need protection from anti-Semitism. I'm saying anti-Semitism is broadly understood to mean, against the Jews. But he has an expansive view of this, which is interesting. He's going to protect the Jews from anti-Semitism and those that want the Jews to go into eternal hellfire from anti-Semitism.
The Balance.
I give you Alan Dershowitz.
We are going to be engaging in massive defensive and offensive lawfare against bigots, anti-Semites, and potential violent terrorists. We're going to take many kinds of legal action.
I love the idea of potential violent terrorists. Just to be clear, when you see, and I'm going to say this very slowly for those who are really dim or just willfully ignorant, when you see protesters on a college campus or really anywhere who are protesting against Israel's waging of this, slaughter, and they're wearing masks, they're doing it because of people like Alan Dershowitz who want to destroy their lives through what he calls lawfare. And the best way to protect them from that is to not get identified on television or by some video cameras that Dershowitz's crew are going to send out. So just go back a little bit, and then I said it slowly so that it can get through your dumb head.
It's is there nonviolent terrorism? Anyway, go ahead, Bradley.
Well, yes, I would say what Dershowitz is doing.
No. For him, I mean, we talked about the different definitions of anti-Semitism, like the criticism of the working definition, the IHRA definition. He's expanded it to anything anti-Semitic or anti-Semitism is when he doesn't feel like people at the Edgartown 5-star restaurant up in Martha's Vineyard are warm enough to him.
Here we go. Listen, it's interesting who he thinks is subject to anti-Semitism.
We are going to be engaging in massive defensive and offensive lawfare against bigots, anti-Semites, and potential violent terrorists. We're going to take many kinds of legal actions. We're starting a group called Heard a Jew, We Sue You, in which if you send us the name of a Jewish kid, it could be a Christian Zionist too, who was hurt by one of these bigots, we will sue them, and we will get their dorm rooms taken away, and we will take their cars and their boom boxes, and we'll bankrupt them. We will do whatever is necessary under the law in order to bring these lawsuits, bring them successfully, and deter October 7th. Remember, there are people out there who have promised they will bring 10,000 October 7th. That's genocide. 10,000 October 7th is the end of the Jewish people. That's genocide. That's Hitler. We are...
Okay. A couple of things here. People don't have boom boxes anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. That's been 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Now, I'm sure Alan Dershowitz is not making this point. But back in the day, when some of the olds would refer to people coming around with their boom boxes, it was sort of code for people of color. But put that aside, because I'm sure Alan Dershowitz did not mean it that way. But let me ask you this. Heard a Jew, We Sue You is the name of the organization. Oh, Christian Zionists are we starting to get a sense of what constitutes anti-Semitism in Alan Dershowitz's mind? Like, does he think that like people are throwing pennies at Christian Zionists? What is it? Like, what could you say to a Christian Zionist that would be anti-Semitic?
I don't know, maybe that you can still be a Christian Zionist and be victimized by anti-Semitism if you leave your underwear on, for example.
What?
Just a little bit of an allusion to his Jeffrey Epstein past connections.
Oh,
where I
okay.
said
Yeah, that I could not figure out.
Good.
The point is that you cannot perpetrate anti-Zionism against anti-Semitism against a Christian Zionist. But you need to set up, if you hurt a Jew, we sue you. You need to set it up as a way that any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
And so you've got to include Christian Zionists in this. I mean, like, I don't know how much more explicit we can get with this conflation and the strategic reasons why this is conflated. But you'll watch CNN, you'll watch MSNBC, you'll watch Fox. They'll bring on some Jewish college student who will perpetrate the lie that 80 to 90% of Jews identify themselves as Zionists. That is a lie. It is an unmitigated lie. And this conflation between Zionists and Jews, and that anti-Semitism can actually be deployed against Christian Zionists is just absurd. And I'll tell you something, on top of being offended as a Jew to have these things conflated, it is extremely dangerous to use this charge of anti-Semitism in such a flagrantly inappropriate way. It's like using your shoe to nail in a hammer. It might work at first, but you're going to destroy the shoe.
Yeah.
And it is going to, charges of anti-Semitism are going to be a less effective weapon against people who are actually anti-Semitic if it is used in this way. To protect Christian Zionists,
yes,
who have said, Hagee amongst them, and I just mentioned him because he was the one at that pro-Israel rally that they all attended, said that Hitler was sent by God to make sure the Jews settled Israel, to complete the prophecy of the return of the Messiah. I mean, this is the stuff they're playing around with. And now they're going to make all of us swallow it.
And it's also, we're seeing more and more the kind of alignment on the side of whiteness as it relates to Zionism. We saw that horrific footage out of Ole Miss over the weekend where there was a black woman who was a part of the pro-Palestine demonstrations. I guess we can, content warning, this is extreme racism here. A black woman was protesting for Palestine, and a bunch of frat boys, and people made allusions to this imagery being very much like the counters in the civil rights movement.
We should have never let these guys use our flag. They should have to be using the Confederate flag to do this crap.
That's exactly the energy they bring to this. They make a bunch of racial kind of slurs towards her.
And, you know, keep that image up because it's important to see. When people talk about intersectionality, right? Like, this is an amazing example of it because, you know, I had a theory about why you had people go from Obama to Trump in 2016. And I'm sure there were some who were like, you know, just a full-on have gone nihilist, or, you know, some who are like sort of, you know, in some way, you know, disillusioned by Obama. But people are like, how can you be racist if you go from Obama to Trump against a white woman in Hillary Clinton? Racists don't think I'm a racist, but I'm also a proud feminist.
Right.
people who are racist, broadly speaking, it's not that it's just about race in their mind. It's also about just the other. And in many instances, people were saying like, we had one non-normal president. I'm not going to have two in a row. We got to go back to the normal president. And if you look at the image of all these people there's one thing that's pretty striking. They're all men.
And they're all white.
They're all white men. And which is not to say that there's no women in that crowd. I'm sure there's some, maybe. But the vast majority of them are men. And it's no coincidence.
Let's play it.
You saw the guys jumping around like making the monkey thing. I mean, there was all sorts of a ton of racist crap going on in there.
Some excited KinderClan kids.
Yep.
When you say the intersectionality point, like people will say, do those kids there, those young, fine men, even understand what Zionism is? And that's not necessarily the point, right? The point is that they reflexively are aligning themselves with Israel. And what's the point? Why is
the
that
funny
the
part
case?
is like, where's the video that goes in there and like mocks them for not understanding the finer points of Zionism?
Oh, I know. Right.
These
They don't
guys have no
context.
idea.
They don't want to debate me.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, the point is that like they're aligned because they are aligned with the oppressors.
Yep.
In one form or another. I mean, this is like, this is a perfect example of all.
It's funny. Like I had a pretty viral tweet go on. What is this, Bradley? Is this?
Well, we should point out that a Republican representative tweeted this out proudly.
A Republican, put this out.
Ole Miss taking care of business, and in the video, he does a freaking monkey gesture towards that black woman. This is a Republican Freedom Caucus member bragging about this.
Yep. And is it also that Richard Hanania guy? Isn't he like
Nazi?
But wasn't he like for a while like sort of mainstreamed?
He still is. Robbie Soav of the Hill keeps retweeting him. I don't know what he's trying to tell us about that, but yeah, Hanania is a big time Nazi who apparently used to suck, and now he hopefully doesn't suck anymore. But I think he probably still sucks as much.
Is he putting this out there to expose Mike Collins or to amplify?
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break. But this is I don't know. There's so much that you can take from this. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and I mean, it can get caught up on Mississippi playing to type there, and I would look into some of those frats and maybe the history, particularly when you talk about systemic rape. You might want to look into that. But I also want to shout out the protesters actually that did that, because that I think it takes a lot of bravery to be in Columbia, to be in Mississippi, and knowing that guys like that are ready to trot out for the flag. And you point out that actually you're doing this for Israel. Like, no, I'm just doing it for the flag. You guys were flying the stars and bars 10 months ago or 10 years ago. Don't tell me you care about America's flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently that kid, J.P. Staples, he first bragged about it on Twitter and then locked his account like a coward.
Good run.
Was kicked out of his fraternity, Phi Data Thelta. But
for closing down his Twitter account?
I mean, you were supposed to own it, bro. We'll see.
Well, he did own it, and then he ran.
Well, right, exactly. We'll see if Ole Miss
running
acts,
rebels,
though.
That's what we call them.
Is the fraternity going to have more of more of a backbone than the university? Because maybe take some action to protect your students, your black students there.
Are they going to cancel commencement to protect people there?
It's a very easy playbook, though. Anytime one of these frats turns our people out against these protests, look up their frat name in the local news and see how far back you have to go to find something horrible.
Oh, yeah. And I would not be shocked at all. If there are some
There are
right-wing
some
groups
things about these Pi Kappa.
that
Are we going to see Alan Dershowitz out there with?
Oh yeah, but if these right-wing groups are actually maybe reaching out to some fraternities and say, hey, we'll
Ackman put up $10,000 on the GoFundMe.
Exactly. We'll fund your next kegger if you can go out there and make life miserable for these people. That's my working theory, and I think that's probably the probability.
I mean, it's one thing to be in frats anyway, and let alone like you see the actual political valence of them.
Well, I was in a sorority, right? I mean, I know the exact kind of people that is. I mean, I was in a sorority in Pennsylvania, right? But the guys are still the same. It's just a bit of a different kind of, a little bit more brash down in Ole Miss than they would have been in Easton, Pennsylvania. But
We just care about the flag. Okay, buddy.
yep, yeah.
I specifically, being the metrosexual that I am, I specifically looked for a college that did not have frats.
I mean, come on, asterisk, worst dress metrosexual.
I don't think that was necessary. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.